Hello and welcome to Practically Magic. Today I am your Reiki healer. So in Practically Magic today we're going to be talking about healing practices, and I have a specific topic from a question from a listener about what we're going to discuss today, and it is going to be crystals. I have had more than one person actually, but this question comes from Amanda. She's asking about, what about crystal healing? What do you know about that? What crystal should I get? And things like that. So I thought, what a great topic of discussion to have today. We're going to talk about crystals, crystal healing. And so I could say, I am your local witch. I am your healer. Today, I think this goes under the category of healing practices. And so we're going to talk about it today. And instead of drawing a tarot card, I have my crystal healing deck. And I bought this at the farmer's market. At one of the booths, they had some tarot decks and some oracle cards. And I thought, oh my gosh, what a great way to learn more about crystal healing. I have an entire deck of lots of different crystals, and I'm going to trust that whatever crystal I pull out of the deck today is going to have some correlation to what you need to hear today. So today's card is one of my favorite, the Opal. If you are watching on video, you can see I'm holding up a picture of Opal. Most of you know what Opal is. But what's interesting about this card for us today, I have a Opal ring that was given to me by my husband for our 10th wedding anniversary. I love Opal and I love all the colors in Opal, but it's not a particularly hard stone. It's sort of soft and it can have pieces break off, and you don't want to leave the ring on when you wash your hands a lot because it can corrode in water. And so that's something interesting to note about this is maybe ask yourself, are you in a period of softness right now or sensitivity? Do you feel like you are needing to be gentle with yourself? Are you a little bit fragile? Are you needing to maybe not make some big huge leaps and changes in your life right now, but kind of keep it close to your usual and routines? Now I'm not sure what Cambria would say, a Kaya community, but she probably has some correlation to that and the fact that we are entering into, is it Virgo season? So maybe something to do with making your plans. It says Opal is a great crystal to have when you're needing something move or to get moving. Like you need a project, you need a relationship or an energy block to move, to get out of your way or to get you moving. And so keep some Opal with you if that is something that you need right now, something to help get you into the space or to shift what you need to shift. And yes, today's episode is going to be all about crystal healing. And so I have some of my journals and some of my own study in crystal healing when I first started this journey in my own awakening and my own, I guess you could say, priestess training in how I wanted to use this knowledge to help people. I do have a story though about my own experiences with crystals. One is that my husband is a very sensitive empath. He's a Scorpio, and he is someone that just happens to read energies naturally. He wasn't somebody that studied it like I did or wanted to become an energy healer or anything like that, but he can tell you when he walks into a space or even when he passes by houses when we're walking or driving, he can tell you, oh, something is very heavy in this space. Like there's a really heavy energy. He's very sensitive to things like that. And he was getting kind of headaches and social anxiety quite a bit because when you don't quite have the training and you happen to be an empath, you pick up on a lot of energy and you don't necessarily know or have the experience yet of being able to deflect it or to send it back to where it comes from. So my mom actually went to a crystal shop. I can't remember which one she went to. I think she went to the Lotus. It's here in Draper. They have a wide variety of crystals there. And she said to the person working the counter, so my son-in-law, he just like needs something to help counteract this experience that he's having. And they said, oh, definitely we're going to need to get him some tourmaline. So black tourmaline is what he needs. It's kind of a protection. It kind of quiets the energies. It helps protect you from energies, especially negative energies that you don't want in your space. And so she bought a necklace for him. And I think it gave it to him for his birthday or something. And he started to wear it and he said, oh my gosh, the difference that I feel in before I started wearing it and when I'm wearing it is so much, such a big difference. He said, it's almost overwhelming. It almost bothers me how different it is. He says, imagine if you have constant buzzing sound in your ears or noise going on in your ears all the time and you get so used to it that it bothers you. It gives you headaches, but after a while you just hear it all the time. So you're just used to it. What if you put noise canceling headphones on and all you can hear is the sound of your own heartbeat? That would be overwhelming, right? It would be like the silence is deafening. And that's how he felt putting on black tourmaline on his necklace and having it right up against his skin under his shirt. So that was kind of early in my experience with crystal healing or with healing in general. And I thought, if someone who doesn't even necessarily, I wouldn't say he doesn't believe in it, he definitely believes in it, but I think he was just a person who didn't speak the language of mystics and magical people and people who kind of work in that field. And yet he definitely could sense such a significant, powerful difference in what it was like to wear the black tourmaline and not. It sort of solidified my belief in it for sure. And I had an experience when I was in England last year. I was walking around where in Glastonbury, where the goddess temple is and where High Street is. There's a lot of metaphysical shops, bookstores, things like that. It's a very like mecca for people like us who are looking for experiences and information and downloads and connection. And they say Glastonbury is on the ley lines. So there's a powerful energy that goes on in that area. The Tor, the White and the Red Spring are there in Glastonbury. I could go on, but let's just for now say it's a very highly energetic force field vortex area, much like we have Sedona here in the States. But we were walking around some shops and a lot of shops had crystals. A lot of shops have jewelry made of crystals. There were a lot of that kind of magical atmosphere going on there. And I walked into one that happened to be a little more expensive than the others. The quality was much better. And it was just, they had made very, very beautiful jewelry with the crystals. So everything in this particular shop, it was right behind the goddess temple in a little alleyway. And it was right next to the library. And everything there is just like in these little old, built in the 1600s, little rock shops. I don't know, just really quaint and beautiful. We walked in and I looked at everything in there and I thought, oh my gosh, I don't quite have the budget in my souvenir budget to buy anything in this store, but it's just amazing. Like this jewelry is just beautiful. The items they had in there were just amazing. My aunt actually picked up a couple of things in there that she showed me later when we were back in our room. It was funny because it was like, oh my gosh, I saw that and I loved it. She had bought it. But while I was in there, I was standing next to the checkout and there was a little bowl of crystals, different stones. And I am normally drawn to things like aura quartz and peacock ore and things that are very colorful and very vibrant and very bright. That's the kind of stuff I usually pick up at a crystal shop. If it has, like this here, I have an aura quartz here with me. So if you're watching on video, you can see lots of colors. This is where I modeled Prism Healing brand colors off of, because I love all of the purples and greens and blues that are just magical. And that's usually what I pick up. Well, they had these stones that were in a little bowl, and they were not beautiful, not what I would consider aesthetically beautiful. They were black, sharp, jagged edges in these little circle, little spear shaped stones in this little bowl. Nothing I would normally be like, ooh, I'm drawn to that. So I reached out and I picked up one of the stones, and I felt it in my hand, and there was just this powerful kind of heavy energy to it. And I was like, that's interesting, as you do when you're kind of placating the person who's sitting right in front of you, who's selling these wares. You want them to think you're interested. She's like, oh, that's interesting. And then I went to go put it back, and it wouldn't go back in the bowl. I kept trying to put this stone back in the bowl, and it just wouldn't leave my fingers. My fingers just would not open and drop the stone back in the bowl. I just could not let it go. And because it was right next to the cash register, these were more affordable, like, there was $5, $10, $15 stone, or pounds. I was in England, so pounds. But I was like, whoa, something is really powerful about this stone. I don't know. I might have to buy this. Not planning on buying it. I was not in here to buy anything, but I think I'm going to have to buy this stone. And I looked to see what it's called and what it's for, and it's a prophecy stone. These stones are exceptionally powerful for meditation and connecting, especially if you happen to be sort of a shamanic healer, someone that can astral project, someone who, when they are meditating, they actually leave their body and go and visit other realms, which I do. So, yeah, I ended up buying the prophecy stone, and it sits in a tiny little bag, a little velvet bag that it came in, and I only pull it out on special occasions. I only took it out when I would do certain healing sessions or certain things when I needed to connect, when I needed to ground, when I needed to, connect with some of those otherworldly sources of information. So sometimes that is the way picking out crystals can be. And moving into our topic of discussion about crystals, if you are new to crystals, new to healing, or if you're somebody who's like, man, crystals, that's such a cliche. All of us mystic people and our crystals. We sit around in our meditative spaces and we outline it all with crystals and talk about crystal healing. And I realize that we are made fun of quite a lot in pop culture. Like, crystal healing and crystal connections can seem very woo-woo. And I get the way that looks. But I need you to understand that the periodic table of elements, okay? Science has discovered that every element on the chart has an association with a frequency. Now, science has discovered, and we know this, that when certain vibrations are played, certain geometrical shapes take shape among those frequencies. So it's quite possible that the universe itself, whether it was from the Big Bang or whatever, all of the particles of the universe were actually created by sound. That sound frequencies manifested the shapes of all elements in the universe. And that is why we have everything we have. Everything that is carbon-based, everything that is that takes shape in the physical realm, everything comes from a frequency. And if crystals and all of the elements that make them what they are, especially because they do form crystal shapes, they form these geometric shapes. It's like honeycombs. It's like, these geometric patterns. They create they are created from a frequency. So if that is true, then all crystals are a physical manifestation of a certain frequency. And when you yourself, your own energy, your own aura is needing to vibrate at a certain frequency, having the essence of that crystal in your space is going to help your body resonate at that frequency. So if you are depressed, if you're feeling anxious, if you're feeling like you just need a certain support in your aura, then having something of that frequency is not a bad idea. Carrying it in your pocket, having it available, using it in your rituals, that can be a really good support for you to raise your frequency to match the thing that you're trying to attract. So one way to use that is with crystal grids. As a Reiki healer, a Reiki master, I use crystal grids on a daily basis, and sometimes I'll change them up. What I do, and I'm working on creating a TikTok video to kind of show my system of setting up for a Reiki session and what I do. So if you're interested in seeing what that looks like, you can follow me on TikTok and see some of my videos. But I am going to show in the video here, if you're on YouTube, if you get the video, you can see a crystal grid. So sacred geometry is, and this is the Kabbalah, and this one is called the Flower of Life. And this image has the flower of life in it, repeated over and over again. This sacred geometry is, again, connected to a frequency. So if I were to put a bunch of sand on a plate and put that plate, like a large flat surface, over a speaker, and I were to play a certain frequency on the speaker, the sand would collect itself into a geometric pattern. And each pattern is created by a different frequency, a different hertz. So using sacred geometry and then using them for crystal grids is a really cool idea for being able to gather that energy and set your intention on what this crystal grid is going to be for and infuse it. If you are a Reiki healer or you have energy from your own body and you can infuse the crystals with that. What is happening here is we can put at the points where the different points meet, like in the flower of life, we can put different crystals and you can get creative with it. You can put like a certain crystal all around the outside of the circle and then on the inside. So you can create patterns. You can create cool aesthetic looking crystal grid, but all the while setting an intention. Like, I'm going to use all things that I need today in this healing or that my client needs. So I have a Reiki crystal grid, used by the International Reiki Association. So, one that has been, with the quartz crystals, it has been put with symbols of all of the religions of the world. One of these plates has been put at the North Pole and the South Pole, in Jerusalem, in different points and ley lines around the world. The Reiki Association has put those for the World Peace Initiative so that Reiki healers could send Reiki energy to those crystal grids all over the world and that it would help heal the world. So I use a crystal grid getting ready for a client. And what I will do, and this is just my personal practice, I will use muscle testing to figure out which crystal of the different sets that I have, different colors, different types, I will just muscle test them real quick for my client. And I will say which one is a priority for my client today. And I will put those in with the quartz crystals around in a circle. And then I will infuse my amethyst quartz crystal with Reiki energy. And then I will power up my grid with Reiki energy and set the intention of sending that Reiki energy to the client who's coming for their session that day. Then I will say, this is to meet their highest good. This is what the client needs to help support their healing today, things like that. So crystal grids can be a really powerful way to use the crystals. And let's get into some of the different crystals that can be used. So depending on what you're needing, lately I have had a little bit of trouble grounding. I have been a lot more in my headspace, connecting to spirit, and a little bit in my kind of other world. When I do that a little too much, then I kind of let a lot of daily tasks slip and I'm not grounded enough. For example, I don't watch what I eat very well. I don't exercise regularly. I maybe just kind of forget a lot of things that are on my schedule and my to-do list, and let those things kind of slip by me. If I'm really balanced and connected, I'm grounded in my body. I'm present in the moment. I can kind of handle whatever's going on in the physical world. And I'm also connected to spirit and connected to my divinity, my connection to God and source and whatever you want to call that. So that's what balancing your chakras looks like, when you can be balanced in the heaven chakras and the earth chakras. So for grounding, I might use something that is red, like red jasper. And Oh, I didn't talk about ethical things about crystals. Real quick, before we get into what sort of things we would use. I will say that in my journey and study of learning about crystal healing, there has been some debate and conflict on whether or not that crystals can be associated with chakras. That the original use of chakras and energy centers in Sanskrit, in Hinduism, did not associate it with colors or with crystals. And that there are some schools of thought. And as I got onto different forums of healers and witchcraft practitioners, there is quite a bit of debate. I was even admonished completely because I was just in the beginning of my learning and I was kind of reaching out to ask questions about things. And I got onto one of those group forums, in discussion. And I said, where can I learn a little bit more about the chakras and the crystals? And I did not realize I was going to get completely blasted, which was uncomfortable for my shadow self, right? My ego. It was like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know that was something that I shouldn't have asked. And what I had to do is I had to sit with that discomfort and actually listen to what they were saying. And what they were saying has a lot of truth to it. And I came to an understanding of what they were trying to say, which is do not engage in closed practices of certain cultures if you are not of that culture. And that's where I had to be really careful. When you're talking about chakras, which coming from a Hindu culture or background, you want to be careful with kind of cross-contaminating. Some of that is coming from a Western point of view. In my experience, and the longer and the more that I studied, the more I knew that chakras is one name for something that is talked about or understood in almost every culture that I came across in some way, shape, or form. The Chinese have the qi, or the flow of energy in the body, which is where, acupuncture and the meridians in the body are understood in how we can unblock and block those energy flows. And, the Celtic come from, there are energy centers or cauldrons. There are 3 or sometimes 5 different cauldrons. And those are the main chakra or energy centers of the body. So I do want to say to be careful with how you interact with those, the vocabulary and the practice of those things. For me, color does have a very significant play in energy. And because crystals come in many varieties of colors, there is a lot of association with what is that crystal going to do for you and what color it is. because of the type of healing that I do and the energy work that I do, I ask people, well, what color is the emotion you're having? What color are you feeling is coming through? And the colors have a significance. If you don't know what I'm talking about, or if you're like, tell me more about colors, I do have an episode in season 1 that I went in depth into colors and how that plays a part in all of this. So there is a connection there on crystals. I particularly I will say chakras when people don't understand what I'm talking about, but more often than not, I will say energy centers of the body and what it can do for you. Also, the source of the crystals in which you are purchasing, there is something to ethical sources. So if something is unethically mined in an area or by oppressing certain people to have that crystal mined in a certain area of the world, be very careful about purchasing it and where you purchase it from and where the source of that crystal came from. Yeah, I'm not saying that I'm perfect at that either. I've purchased crystals from all kinds of places and different things, but it is something to be mindful of when you are, when you're purchasing crystals, whether or not it's worth purchasing it from and supporting something that is oppressing a certain people, or could you get the same magical quality of a crystal by going out into your own space, into the environment in which you find yourself and finding something that feels powerful to you and you've collected it yourself. So just the questions to ask yourself when it comes to how you decide to participate in crystal healing or where you get your crystals. I'm not going to admonish anybody for being like, oh, I went to a crystal shop and I picked out a crystal and I bought it. I've certainly done that. So I'm not going to, say there's a all right and all wrong way to do things, but there is just something to be mindful about when it comes to ethical practices. So anyway, going into what are some crystals that might be good for certain things that you're looking for. If you were looking for grounding, the red jasper or the obsidian. I have now a picture of the obsidian here ready to go. So that's from my deck. That's the beautiful, almost onyx looking stone. It's black and shiny and smooth in a lot of parts, but really jagged where it's been cut. I mean, it's just kind of cool. Those are really good ones to have on hand or to keep with you. Or if you want really good protection in your house, some people believe in putting an obsidian in each corner of your house as like a protection, kind of like warding and protecting your space. For empowerment, if you're really feeling like, okay, I'm going into a job interview, or like, I just really need to feel confident right now. I need a little boost of that warrior feeling. I'm a warrior. I'm a badass queen and I can do anything kind of feeling. You might want citrine or, honey calcite or amber. Amber is, some of those yellow colors come from that solar plexus, wanting to feel empowerment. This one might feel a little obvious, but if you're looking for love or to support your romantic love, between you and a partner, rose quartz. If you and a partner seem to be not good at the moment, you and your spouse are fighting a lot more, I would say citrine is a good one to keep around. That's good for the sacral chakra or for your relationships and codependency issues and not absorbing everything that, all of the burden that feels like it's coming from your partner. Or when you need a little bit of creativity. Citrine is also good for the creativity center of the body. So, being able to boost your creativity. I want to create something. I want the ideas to flow. That would be a good one for that. Rose quartz for love. And also aventurine, the green colors, or the malachite. Malachite has really pretty green, deep green emerald color swirls in it. It's really cool. Cool looking. Spiritual connection. You're looking for a little boost in raising your spiritual vibe. Amethyst And by the way, amethyst is great for just about everything. I think if you don't have amethyst around and just kind of in your collection or around the house, I've even got a little amethyst specifically for my bra. So if I'm having a rough day or I do need a little pick me up, I will stick that amethyst right in my bra and keep it with me on hand all day long. Just keeps in my aura, boosting me a little bit. And quartz. Here's a picture of quartz. Most people know quartz because it's white and it's clear and it kind of looks like, has that diamond effect most people like. For calming, you might want moonstone or pearl, kind of calms your aura, makes you feel good and peaceful. Yeah. And I keep a little diary of different stones and crystals that have helped me or meanings that I think I might want to connect with at some point or that a client might need. But I also haven't picked this up early in my studies, The Crystal Healer, and I've seen this at many different places. And so it must be a pretty popular book for people to use. But I like this one because it's simple, small, and it has most of the common crystals that you can find in crystal shops anyway. I don't want to send people out looking for something that's very rare and hard to find, but this one gives you the physical, emotional benefits, the astrology signs that correlate with the crystals. It tells you a little bit at the beginning of the book how to use the crystals. What I will do for clients after an emotional process session or a Reiki session is I will go through this book and I will just muscle test the lists of crystals. When I get a strong test for a client, that's when I know that there is a crystal that would be a priority or would be a good support for them, especially after a particular session. So let's say we go through a whole emotional process session. It's very heavy, very deep. We've gone through some very deep healing into the subconscious, into past events and emotions from childhood. Inner child work, shadow work. It can be intense sometimes. And I'll say, I'm going to muscle test a crystal for you. And what you can do is you can go to a crystal shop and find that crystal and keep it with you during your integration period in being able to integrate this session into your body, into your subconscious, all of that. So muscle testing again comes into play. Where I'm going to narrow down exactly what crystal a client might need to help them. Now, we need to talk about selenite for those who don't know. Now, all of you who have been healers or into energy work, you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, of course, I know all about this. But this is just for people who maybe don't know or have not gotten into crystal healing yet or haven't learned much yet. But when you do, you will hear about selenite all the time. You will see healers with selenite wands or even certain things carved and made out of selenite. It's a particularly common crystal, and it is also pretty fragile. It comes in these like shards, so easily broken. My son loves selenite, but has broken like so many that I've given him. And so I usually tend to, if he wants selenite, I'll say, okay, I'll have some for you, but I'm going to hang on to it for you because he just can't seem to kind of leave it alone. And when you play with it, you drop it, you break it. You can get them in these really cool orbs. They're really cool because they are self-charging. This is a crystal that does not need, its power is in cleansing. So it is perfect for cleansing someone's aura. You can wave that wand over their head and down their back and over the front of their body, kind of zipping up their energy and cleansing their aura. It's a really great way to get that done, or cleansing spaces. That's why you'll see people just put selenite wands in a circle or in a box around an area that they're working, or on door frames, on the top of the door frame. You can put a selenite. You can also put selenite wands or sticks in with your crystals. And that's a good way to charge your crystals. So this is a great cleansing crystal. And some people have like giant, big selenite, like towers that they keep in their spaces. And then they can put things on it, or they can put that on something else. Just kind of cleanse it of all energy. Now, something to be careful about, and some things that I have been told about selenite, is that it can cleanse everything. Good, bad, everything. It's kind of like wiping it clean slate. So if you want other people's energy to clean off of something, this is great for that. If you want people to walk through a doorway and when they come in or leave a space, then they kind of wipe clean of anything that has attached itself to them energetically, of course. This would be a great one to do. But if you wanted to just cleanse only negative energy and keep some energies, then other things might work better. And I'll get into that more when we talk about warding and cleansing spaces and things like that. So if you wanted to know more about that, look for an episode about spaces and cleansing spaces. Where was I? Oh, we're talking about cleansing and charging. So charging your crystals. There are a few ways to do it. And what this means is your crystals are vibrating at a certain frequency, but they're working hard and in spaces, kind of rubbing up against other frequencies and energies during the time that they're doing their job. They're resonating, they're vibrating, just like everything vibrates. Everything's energy. But when it's around a certain energy for a while, it can clash and get off balance. I mean, anything can affect anything else, right? So my energy is going to affect that crystal. If I carry that crystal around with me constantly 24/7, my energy, my natural energy is going to affect that crystal. And so to charge them is to just have them reset back to their natural frequency that element is supposed to resonate at. And you need to charge your crystals. So the selenite can help do that. Or a lot of us crystal healers, witches, mystics, you will see us setting up our little crystal area during the full moon. It doesn't have to be the full moon, but because the full moon is at its fullest potential, we put them out in the full moon. And the full moon is going to charge the crystal's energy to reset back to what they're supposed to be. That's also when we make moon water, but I'll do another episode about that. We're talking about crystals today, so focus, Courtney. Yes, so you want to charge your crystals. The full moon is not the only place that you can do that or time that you can do that. You can also bury your crystals into the earth. Make yourself a little treasure trove of crystals that you put in the earth and leave overnight. And then bring them back out again. So the earth's energy and the soil is going to help charge them. If you are a Reiki practitioner, you have been infused, you have been attuned to the Reiki energy and trained on how to use the Reiki energy like myself, you can use Reiki to charge your crystals. And there are certain symbols and Goshu meditation and things like that you would do in that process. If you don't know what I'm talking about and you're like, what is that? I'm very intrigued. Find a good Reiki master who's offering a Reiki class and take the Reiki 1 and 2 class, the Holy Fire. It is going to teach you everything you need to know about charging your water with Reiki and healing with Reiki and using Reiki in your everyday life. It's incredible. And it's a really powerful source of using love and light energy in your life. But you are going to need to find a Reiki master to teach you that. And I do not offer those classes at this time, but I can hook you up. If you want to reach out to me, I will find you a couple of Reiki masters that I learned from and are amazing. So if you're in the Utah area, I could hook you up. But Reiki energy is a great way to infuse those crystals. I also charge my tarot decks with Reiki energy. And I do charge my tarot and oracle decks in the full moon as well. So you gotta take care of your magical items. You cannot just expect to use them for magic constantly and then never ever treat them to what they need, right? All right. So some really awesome things here today. Couple of my favorite crystals I love to use. One of the ones I keep around is this, I never know if I'm saying the name of it right, bismuth. Bismuth is a really rainbowy, cool, geometric looking shard of rock. But it's actually not natural. It's something that is another element that has to be heated up to be able to create this. But once it's heated up and melted, it automatically creates these really cool, sharp geometric patterns in it. And it becomes rainbowy. And I love it. It's one of my favorites. Like I said, aura quartz. It's not natural. It's quartz crystal, but it's been modified by humans to look colorful and, vibrant. But a lot of times here in Utah, they will have some gem festivals or gem fairs, South Jordan, at the, what is it called? It just changed. It's now the Utah State University, fairgrounds. About once or twice a year, they have a gem fair, and I love to go there and see all of the different booths and all of the different gem wholesalers. They come and they set up, and you can buy whatever you're looking for. I would recommend that if you are new to this and you're new to picking out crystals for yourself, wondering what it is that you need, don't worry too much about looking it up and making sure you're getting something exactly like, oh, pearls are for this and Jasper is for that, and I need to get something that's just for what I need. You can do that. I find that the most effective way to find a crystal that is just right for you is to go into a crystal store that has a lot of variety and a lot of things available, and go pick something out that you are drawn to. Whether it's because you like the way it looks or you just feel it. Your intuition kicks in and you say, is this a crystal that is just right for me? Is this something I need right now? And I have done that even for myself or for friends when I'm getting them a gift, or for a client. I might say, oh, I am just incredibly drawn to this one crystal, this one rock, this stone that I think my friend or client would need. And I'm almost always right. I mean, whether it's for me or for someone else, I have had gifts for people that I've gotten them. I've gotten jewelry with a certain stone in it and given it to friends, and they say, oh my gosh, it's incredible that you picked this out because, and then they tell me this very distinct connection they have with it. Like, it was the one my husband gave me on our anniversary or something like that. So use your intuition and trust your intuition far above all of the books and different things you can find. Yes, there's a lot of information out there. You can sit and study and read and work on gaining some knowledge of crystals and healing. But I would rather you have the experience of trusting your intuition and knowing what is right for you. And the last thing I'm going to tell you is about this stone. And if you're watching, again, you have to see this on YouTube. Sorry, guys. If you're just listening to audio, you might have to go look this up on YouTube and check it out, because I am going to show you this bracelet that I have on today. This is Bluestone. This bracelet was one that I bought at the gift shop at Stonehenge because it is the same type of stone that the inner circle of Stonehenge is, Bluestone. And the reason I felt like I had to buy it, obviously it's a great souvenir from Stonehenge, right? And as many of you know from previous episodes, my story about being able to do a sunrise ritual and ceremony inside the circle of Stonehenge, which was very special and very VIP, if you will. But one thing that I experienced in that moment, in that ritual, was that those stones happened to be very healing. They amplify healing power. So even in using Reiki in Reiki sessions with clients and healing them, I find that the Bluestone is like taking that power and just ramping it up. As I was watching some of the videos in the gift shop in the museum at Stonehenge, they were like, the blue stone is thought to have been a healing stone for the Druids and for the Celtic people, for the it's pre-Celtic time period that the Stonehenge, they believe was being used. But there is a very significant connection to the type of stone that it is and what people believed that it was for. So I find that to be very true for myself. I brought this bracelet home. I keep it in a special place. I make sure it's charged, and I only wear it during sessions usually. So if you see me wearing it out and about, it's probably because I had a session that day and haven't taken it off yet. I find it to be just one that needs to only come out for very special occasions, for those healing work that I do. So find your why. Find what makes you connected to crystals and what is it that you would like to know more about them. And you can always reach out to me and ask me questions. I am happy to discuss things with anyone who has questions. I don't consider myself to be an expert in crystal healing. I just happen to use it in my healing practice. So I do know a little something in the years that I've been experiencing and experimenting with it. But I do have some of these sacred geometry boards that were made with a laser etch printer on wood. I have some small mini ones for sale and some bigger ones for sale if anyone's interested in purchasing one to make your own crystal grid. And the cool thing about those is you don't need to buy the big stones for those. You can just buy the really inexpensive, different, like a pack of different colors, different stones, and then use them on the grid, and they work just as well. So hit me up with all of your questions about crystals, and we'll see. Maybe there's another episode we could do, a part 2 to crystal healing. If there was just a lot of interest and questions, reach out to me. Next week, don't forget to check out our Witch Movie Project podcast. It's a side project that I'm doing with the host of Radio Daybreak, Jess Blaine, with Ride the Wave Media. We are really excited. It's been so fun. We are watching and reviewing 2 witch movies every week in September and October leading up to Halloween. It's been a blast. Some of them are really gory horror movies. Some of them are family-friendly witch movies. It's kind of a feast for everybody. So don't forget to check out our episode that's coming out and follow that journey as we do each episode 2 different movies. Yeah, it's been a blast. I can't say enough about it. It's been so fun to watch those movies and to discuss it with Blaine. We have a blast together. Don't forget to use magic in your everyday life. Remember, the most mundane things that you do, even just mopping your floors, can be magical. If you infuse that mop water with some magic, maybe a few little herbs, you've got a spell going, and you can use magic in your everyday lives. So use magic to strengthen relationships, heal, prosper, and thrive. Shout out to Jess Blaine at Ride the Wave Media and Sarah at Sunshine Community. And for this episode particularly, I would like to give a shout out and thank you to my good friends at Synchronicities in Sandy. I was there all last year as one of their resident healers, and they have an amazing healing space. And I'm not paid to tell you this. I'm just mentioning it because they have a great selection of crystals. They also have a Himalayan salt cave you can do meditation and sound baths in. And they also have, which I have taken advantage of many times, is the Selenite cave. So we talked about Selenite and its cleansing power. They have an entire room where the walls are lined with Selenite, and there's chromotherapy lights, different colors shining, and they put on music and they drum you, and you can have a whole session in the Selenite cave. It's an incredible experience, and it's a great idea if you are just looking to balance your chakras and cleanse yourself of all the energies, a good reset, right? So if you would like more information on any of these topics, that we discuss on the podcast. You can find me on Instagram at prism_healing. You can find me on Facebook, Courtney Pearl. Courtney Pearl's Prism Healing is my page. I have an event coming up, which is a free meditation and sound bath. I'm partnering with Kaya Community, Cambria Davis and I, so Daybreak's Local Witch and Daybreak's Local Astrologer, are combining for one night to do a sound bath and meditation at the park here at my house. And so you can find that event on my website and other services I provide, courses and classes that I'm offering on my website, which is Courtney. Sorry, that's my name. That's not my website. My website is prism-healing.com. So find my website there, and then you can click on all of the menu items at the top. Will take you to services, events, my blog. And on my blog, I will have a blog post about this episode when it comes out, which I will reference all of these books and things that I talked about on today's episode. So if you need those resources and you'd like to learn more, I will put that on my blog, on my website. So pretty much everything's on my website. Just go to my website, guys. Okay? Just go to my website. That's where it's all at. And that is also where you can, on any of my social media and website, you can message me with your questions and any questions that you have about energy work, magic, witchcraft, folklore, all of the things we talk about on this podcast. And that will help us plan our next episode. I like to have our episodes a discussion on what it is you would like to learn more about. So we have lots of ideas coming up. I can't wait for that. All right, witches and wizards, that's about it. So please go out into the world, make magic. Until next time,